Float posters. Now you can get top quality, high gloss, full color infographics from Afloat Posters featuring all of the clubs from your favorite league, including EFL League One and USL Championship. Afloat Posters also has infographics featuring defunct historic leagues and even new infographics featuring past and present teams from your hometown. You can get 3 different sizes of posters at Afloat Posters starting at just $8.99 US. And now you can save 10% on anything at the website afloatposters.com. Using the promo code ATP10. That's ATP10. Just enter that code at checkout for 10% off at Afloat Posters. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to Across the Pitch. No matter what side of the pond you're on, or if you're in Canada, the Ontario area like Tony is, it is actually even morning for him. It's 8:30 a.m. here, Phoenix, Arizona. Tony, I believe this is the first time we've ever recorded in the morning for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 11 here in Toronto, and I had to get up early just to get ready. So it's a good job I didn't have to go in the makeup room, Phil. But anyway, ready to go, and looking forward to talking about last night's match and the upcoming one against Bristol Rovers.
Well, I've been down in the basement drinking coffee for about the last 4 hours now, and I'm ready to go. So, we're going to have our Accrington Stanley Bristol Rovers preview today. And before that, we're going to quickly go back and talk about the last match against Fleetwood, like Tony mentioned. But before we do that, we have a little surprise for Tony. And if you've been listening to these episodes, you may remember our game from the Ipswich preview, Tractor or Not a Tractor. So in honor of the Bristol Rovers today, we will be playing a short game called
Pieces of 8.
Pirate Ship or Not a Pirate Ship.
Oh, good job. I didn't study for that one either.
Pieces of 8.
All right, Tony. Well, I've got a list of 10, and these could be both real or literary fictional pirate ships. So we have a list. Some are pirate ships, some are not pirate ships. All right, here we go. You ready, Tony?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm going to give you an easy one to start off with. The Jolly Roger.
Pirate.
Yes, that is Captain Hook's ship from Peter Pan. The SS Minnow.
Not a pirate ship.
Nope, that's the boat from Gilligan's Island. All right, now we're going to move to some more difficult ones. The HM Bark Endeavor.
Not a pirate ship.
Well, that is a pirate ship. That was Captain Cook's ship.
Oh.
Well, maybe you'll do better with this one, Tony. The CSS Hunley.
Not a pirate ship.
Correct. That's not a pirate ship. That was actually back in the U.S. Civil War, an attempt that was made at submarine technology back in the mid-1800s. And as you can imagine, that didn't turn out too well.
No, they left the screen door open.
All right, how about this one, Tony? Queen Anne's Revenge.
Oh, not a pirate ship.
No, that is a pirate ship. That was Blackbeard's ship.
Oh, well, okay, go ahead.
Adventure Galley.
Not a pirate ship.
That is also a pirate ship. That was Captain Kidd.
Oh, I'm not good at pirates either.
You might get this one. The Jenny.
I've got to go with not a pirate ship.
Correct. That was Forrest Gump's shrimping boat.
Oh,
The Pequod.
oh, it sounds like a pirate ship.
It's not. It was the whaling ship from Moby Dick.
Oh, boys, oh, boys.
Ambrose Light.
Not a pirate ship.
That is a pirate ship. Apparently, it was built by Colombian rebels.
Well, that's just dirty pool playing, pulling that one out.
All right, last one, Tony. I think you might get this one. The Hispaniola.
Not a pirate ship.
No, that's the pirate ship from the novel Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Oh man, I got to read my books a bit. Well, you're going to have to give me a heads up on which literary, novels I'm going to have to look at before this. This is very cultured show, and I'm not a cultured guy.
Well, I think these are more funny if you don't know what I'm going to ask you about. But I mean, maybe you should start looking at the team mascot that's coming up and see if you can get.
Well, we'll give it a shot. I hate to see what you're going to do when we play Plymouth Argyle.
Oh, well, I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
I've got a great one planned for when we do MK Dons also.
Okay.
I appreciate you being a good sport with these, Tony. Let's talk some football now, though.
Right.
Let's start off with your observations of the Fleetwood match. And what I'm going to say here is we're recording this actually on Wednesday morning. We usually record these on Friday, but we're in the interest of trying to get these out a little bit earlier UK time. We are recording this a little bit earlier this week, so we don't have injury reports or referee assignments yet. And the lead story, because I think this is really the lead story anyway, is actually going to be our observations from the Fleetwood game, because for me personally, at least, there was a lot to take away, and I imagine you feel the same way, Tony.
Yeah, I think it was a match that played differently than we expected, in the sense that I don't think Accrington were up to what we would have liked to have seen. And I think one of the key things for Fleetwood is they know that it's a relatively inexperienced team, in various parts of the lineup. So Joey Barton really had them pressing high and all over the pitch, really. And I think the idea was, if you've got an inexperienced player, if you pressure them and keep the pressure on them, they will eventually cough up the ball. And in the first half, that played out well. And really, to be fair, Stanley were fortunate to be tied at 0-0 at halftime, because I think Joey Barton's game plan really did put Stanley to the test.
Well, I think that you're spot on there, Tony, and I think that the first thing that we really need to talk about and observe with this game is based on what we talk about. This was an outlier game, and we had talked about a game involving AFC Wimbledon last week, where they had won in spite of the shooting percentage not going in their favor. Looking at this, Stanley was at 23%, 3 of 13. Fleetwood was at 50%, 6 of 12. So with the numbers we've been running by, Fleetwood really should have won this game. What we've had here is once again a hot keeper. Toby Savin made 6 saves. I see he was already named to the team of the week. We've been speculating that maybe Baxter might be putting some pressure on him since he's come in from loan from Chelsea. But I think Savin made a statement that he was to keep this starting job.
Well, the competition is not only, for match day, but obviously in training. And it seems to have, I'd say, lit a fire under Toby, but I think it's given him some area that he knows he's going to have to play up to his best because there's somebody, a quality keeper on the bench, and competition is good, and that's what Coleman wants. I think is what Coleman said, that the so many fine margins in this league that they played better and lost, and they didn't play as good today, and they won against Fleetwood, and they won. I don't think it was a complete performance in any stretch of the imagination. Nothing like when they beat Peterborough. And I think the 3 shots that they credited Stanley with, I think probably most of those came in the last 15 minutes, because I think there was one there at the end where I thought they were going to make it 2-0, and that might have been the last shot. But definitely the stats were, if you look at it, you would have expected to see a result for Fleetwood.
Well, I mean, I think the turning point really goes back to what we've been talking about. So the past couple of weeks, we have been talking about how we've been missing Dion Charles up front. Well, I think that, obviously Dion Charles got the winning goal. So, I mean, obviously you look at it and say, okay, he made a difference. But I don't think that people really understand how big a difference he makes. And this is really goes back to what I was talking about in our Matt Butcher interview, is that with Charles, what that does is that allows you to put Pritchard back into the midfield. Then you can move Nottingham back out onto the right wing. And I think one of the biggest differences between this match and why we were able to get the clean sheet is that you have Nottingham, who's an experienced fullback that's able to drop back into space on the right side. That allowed Ross Sykes to move back more towards the center. We saw Ross Sykes have his best game in about 4 matches. I mean, I think that, just getting all the pieces to the puzzle was a big thing. And even if the stats don't necessarily show it, Fleetwood was playing well. Stanley still did what they needed to do to get the victory. I mean, Fleetwood, every player on Fleetwood for the most part was contributing. I mean, they had 4 different players with 4 or more crosses. They had 29 crosses in the box compared to 13 for Stanley. Paddy Madden, he didn't score. He took 2 shots. They were both on target. Barry McKay, I mean, this guy, 5 shots, 3 on target, 5 crosses into the box, and he drew a foul. Every player on Fleetwood was contributing and playing well. Stanley was still able to come away with a victory and a clean sheet. And I think that speaks to the quality of this team to be able to withstand a storm like that.
Yeah, and I think it's good for the confidence because they won a match where it played for large parts of it. I thought the second half change in formation of bringing Sean McConville for Tariq that went off, that was a bit under the weather. And Seamus didn't make even make the bench. But I thought Sean looked well. A little bit rusty in a couple of times. Normally, he took a second or two on where normally he would be a little quicker, and that's just rust, and that will come. But yeah, that change in formation there in the second half certainly allowed Accrington to play better. And it's going to be a tough decision for John Coleman come the weekend, which would lead us into the match.
But before you lead into the next match, I did kind of want to piggyback on something you said there, because that's an excellent point with Sean coming back. I mentioned the piece of the puzzle in terms of Dion coming back, getting Sean back. That's another piece of the puzzle. We still have Mo Sungare, who I understand is close to returning as well. And I think with the 3-5-2 formation, it's going to be important to have that depth of wingbacks. Because, I mean, basically what I'm looking at is I think we have now Tariq Uwakwe, Joe Pritchard, Sean McConville, and then we also have Nottingham and Sungare who are going to play on the wing position. I think with Nottingham and Singare, you have defensive-minded guys. With the other three, you have offensive-minded guys. And I think it's going to be key to kind of have one of each on the wing. I want to see either a Singare or a Nottingham on the right wing, and then, a Pritchard or a McConville or a Uwakwe on the left wing. So we're getting our offense out of the left side, getting some defense back on the right side. And I think that's the optimum kind of shape for us, if you will.
Yeah, and I thought Butcher had a good second half with the change in lineup and really change in formation as far as the players' positions. So I thought that it certainly was a good move, maybe out of necessity, but I think with the halftime talk that Coleman and Jimmy gave, plus the change, certainly got them going for the second half. So,
well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about in the interview, where Matt has been getting into more of that number 10 role. And in this game, he did start off in more of the number 8 role, where he was playing more of a defensive-oriented role. And like you said, after they made the changes at halftime, they brought him forward into the number 10. And I think that's just clearly his best position. I know that Joe Pritchard, he's capable of playing the number 10 role. I know that Sean McConville is capable of playing the number 10 role. To me, both of those guys, I'd rather have them out wide. And I really like what Butcher gives us in the middle. I know that Keneally was out of the squad. I'm going to assume maybe he had some kind of a nick, or maybe John Coleman was just trying to get him some rest. But I mean, to me, you've got John Russell in the deep midfield. You should be able to have Seamus in the deep midfield. I think that's going to free us up to play Butcher at the number 10 all the time.
Yeah, I think so. And as you say, that sort of sets the stage and leads us into the match coming up on Saturday. So maybe as you could just give us an overall view on where the match is, head-to-head records, and what can you shed us? What light can you shed us on Bristol Rovers?
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is a really interesting match coming up, because what you have is Accrington is 4-0-3 with 12 points in 7th place. Bristol Rovers is 3-2-2 with 11 points in 10th place. Both teams come in with a -1 goal difference. So, I mean, it seems like a pretty even match. It is going to be at the Wham Stadium, where right now Accrington has been 3-0-1 this year. So, I mean, certainly Accrington's been very strong at home. The interesting thing about Bristol is, after getting off to a rough start where they were 0-1-2 through their first 3 matches, they're now on a 4-game unbeaten run. They've gone 3-1-0. They beat Shrewsbury 1-0 on Tuesday. So you have 2 teams that are coming in off of a 1-0 result on Tuesday. Both teams seem to be in pretty good form. So, I mean, to me, this is as close of a matchup as you can get.
Yeah, is there? What's the overall record with Rovers and Stanley, Bill?
Well, you know, we talked about Rochdale and how Stanley's bogey team was Rochdale a couple of weeks ago. This is exactly the opposite, where Stanley has actually been Bristol Rovers' bogey team. They've played 13 times prior. Stanley is 8-3-2 in those meetings. And in fact, the last time that Bristol beat Accrington was all the way back on the 28th of April, 2012.
Yeah, so there's it's obviously tilted there in Stanley's favor, but as we know from the Rochdale match, that doesn't always mean everything.
They did draw 3-3 the last time they met, which was the 7th of September 2019. So basically at the the very beginning of last season. They've drawn the last 2 times, and then before that, it was 7 Stanley wins in a row, going all the way back to 2012. But I mean, most of those matches were in League Two. So I mean, it's really been a matter of Stanley domination, though, for the most part in this series.
Who are the key players we should look out for on Bristol Rovers?
Well, there's a few that really jump out to me, and a guy that we talked about a lot in the preview episode was Max Emmer. He was a guy that, he had kind of been an anchor in the Gillingham defensive backfield for about 6 years. He came over to Bristol, and he's kind of, stepped in right where he left off. He's played every minute so far this season for Bristol. They play a 3-5-2 like Stanley does, so he's kind of playing that right central position. But just he's one of those guys where we talk about in League One where everybody has that kind of one defensive player that I guess more Hughes would probably be that guy for Stanley. We talked about Luke Chambers last week, and Emmer is, he's in his first season with Bristol, but he's definitely that guy as he was with Gillingham. Brandon Hanlon, he's the main scorer for them. He's got 3 goals for them this season. In fact, he's scored in 3 out of the last 4 matches. 3 times he's scored, 3 times they've won. So he's kind of been the key. One thing I would say is 2 of those were penalties, so he hasn't necessarily been scoring and doing a lot of damage from the run of the field. Overall, they've kind of had a trouble as a team scoring from the run of the field. The goalkeeping department, Anssi Jakala, he's a guy that, I would have expected more from. Right now, he's got a 67.9% save percentage. He's stopped 19 out of 28 shots and had 2 clean sheets, which those are good numbers. But for somebody like him, I'd expect more. Last year, he had a 74% save percentage. The year before that, he played for Reading in the championship, had a 77% save percentage. So, he's a guy that has underperformed by his standards, at least so far.
I think based on what we've seen so far from both teams, and this leads me into my question to you. I think I've got an idea where where this is going to go. But what have you found out for us on the gambling analysis, the betting line?
Well, this is the most that I've seen Stanley favored by in a while, other than the minus 106 that we had, what was it, against Rochdale. But in this match, Stanley is going off at a plus 128, so you can still get more than even money by betting on Stanley. However, Bristol Rovers is going off at a plus 235, which means that's almost 2.5 to 1. That's $23.50 for every $10 you bet, almost twice the payout you get by betting on Stanley. The draw line is going off at a plus 205, which is, well below that plus 250 that we look at as a game where they're guarding against the draw. So, I mean, that tells me that the odds makers are thinking draw or Stanley win in this one.
Yeah, and I'm when I look at the records in Bristol, as you say, have been on such a good run of late, and their away record is pretty darn good. Out of 4 matches, they've only lost 1, won 2, and drawn 1. Goal differential, really, they're I believe if I look at the table, both Stanley and Bristol are a minus 1. Stanley scored 9, and
exactly.
Giving up. Yeah. I'll let you go first with your prediction because you've done your analysis, and then I went first last time, so I'll let you go first with your prediction, and then I can give you my thoughts.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I I'm tempted to maybe want to back it up with the draw, but I'm going Stanley win here. And here's why. It's like you said, Bristol has been on this 4-game unbeaten run. And if I had opened this up and saw that the odds were close to even, or, Bristol was, maybe a plus 150 or something like that, that would have told me, okay, well, the odds makers think Bristol is for real. This line tells me that the odds makers think Stanley is the one for real. I'm going to say this one ends in a 3-0 Stanley victory. I think that they're going to make it conclusive.
Wow, that's I didn't expect that. I like it, Phil, but I didn't expect it. From my perspective, the 2 losses that Bristol have had, they've conceded 6 goals. Those 2 losses were to Doncaster and Ipswich. They don't concede a lot of goals, so I think it's going to be tough for Stanley to score. That's why I'm hesitant to say, although I like your prediction, I'm hesitant to say they'll get 3. I'm actually going on this one. I think Stanley's going to get their first draw of the season. And I hate to say it, but I'm looking at a 1-1 draw at the Wem Stadium.
Yeah, I could definitely see it going that way. The way that the odds read out, it certainly seems like the casino thinks it's a possibility. I just think Stanley's confidence is very high coming off of the Fleetwood match. They're going to be at home. I think Bristol has a bit of a coming back to earth game coming to them because they're not as good as they've been over the last 4 matches. Stanley was able to keep a clean sheet against a difficult Fleetwood team. Bristol really hasn't showed the ability to score from the run of the field, and unless Stanley concedes a PK, I just don't even see Bristol getting out the board. Meanwhile, I think that Stanley has some guys that have some goals in them that have been hitting the woodwork and things like that. And I think that, maybe this is just kind of the day that the things really come together. I think we'll see Tariq Uwakwe get on the board, assuming he's back to full health. I think we'll see Matt Butcher get on the board, and then we'll say Joe Pritchard gets on the board.
Well, I hope you're right. And I think if Stanley can score in the first 20 minutes or so, then I think they'll take the game. Obviously, the longer it goes, like the Fleetwood match. I hope they do start finding the scoring touch. I think it's, as I said, I think it might be difficult. Expect a tough match, obviously, from Bristol Rovers. I hope I'm wrong in this time, Phil, and I hope you're right, because a 3-0 win is a lot easier on the old ticker than a nail biter. So anyway, that's all for me, Phil. I think that was I think you've covered everything well, and let's see what happens come Saturday.
Looking forward to it, Tony. Until then, on Stanley
on. Cheers.
Cheers, Tony.